Up next is The Nature of the Wild, in which we explore the remarkable forms of nature that surround us. From the very beginning, it was God who spoke the waters into order. On the third day of creation, he commanded the seas to gather and the dry land to appear, and it was so. Genesis records that moment with the quiet authority of absolute truth. Let the waters under the heavens be gathered together into one place, and let the dry land appear. That divine decree has never been revoked. No parliament has amended it. No generation has appealed it. From that first morning of the world to this very day, the waters have obeyed. Here in Uganda, that obedience takes a breathtaking and beautiful form. Waters descending from the east, the west, and the south are drawn together as if by an ancient summons, converging, uniting, and finding a common path toward a distant shore. From this landlocked heart of Africa, cradled within the equatorial embrace of the Great Rift Valley and the vast interior plateau, they begin one of the most extraordinary journeys on Earth. Flowing northward through dense forests, open savannas, sun-scorched deserts, and the cradles of ancient civilizations, these waters form the Nile, the longest river in the world. From its source to its final embrace with the Mediterranean Sea, the Nile stretches over 6,650 kilometers. For millennia, it has watered Egypt, sustained empires, and captured the imagination of explorers, scholars, and pilgrims alike. Yet its origins lie here, in the green and God-given highlands of equatorial Africa. Every drop that built the pyramids, every flood that renewed the Nile Delta, every current that carried the boats of ancient pharaohs, all of it began its journey in Uganda. Uganda rightly celebrates the source of the Nile at Jinja, that storied point where the vast mirror of Lake Victoria surrenders its waters to the river's northward calling. It is a place of wonder, of pilgrimage, of national pride. Visitors come from across the world to stand at that threshold and witness the moment a lake becomes a river, the moment stillness becomes journey. There is something sacred in that sight, water answering a call older than memory. But the story does not begin there. Behind Jinja, behind the lake, behind the rivers and the rain, there stands a mountain, ancient, immense, and wrapped perpetually in cloud and mystery. A mountain so remote, so otherworldly in its appearance, that the geographers of antiquity could only describe it in the language of legend. They called it the Mountains of the Moon. We know it today as the Rwenzori, rising along Uganda's western frontier to a summit height of 5,109 meters above sea level. The Rwenzori is the highest mountain range in Africa and the true cradle of the waters that become the Nile. Here, where glaciers cling to ancient rock and alpine meadows bloom in eternal silence, the Creator placed his reservoirs before rivers had names, before maps had borders, before any human eye had looked upon these peaks and understood what they held. These are not merely mountains. They are God's water towers, raised by divine design, fed by heavenly cloud, and ordained from the beginning to sustain a continent. And from these heights the water descends, not all at once, not in a single dramatic rush, but slowly, faithfully, drop by drop, the way God has always worked his greatest purposes. A glacial trickle finds the rock face and begins to move. A thread of snowmelt carves a thin silver line through the alpine moorland. A seep of cold, clear water rises from the saturated soils of the heather zone and gathers with others like it, growing in voice and in volume as it falls. Down through the bamboo, down through the montane forest, down through the lower slopes, where the air thickens and warms and the forest grows dense and loud with life. This is the highest source of the waters of the Nile, not Ginger, where the river departs Lake Victoria in a surge of brown and silver water. Here, on the glaciated peaks of the Rwenzori, at over 5,000 meters above sea level, at the roof of equatorial Africa, is where the Nile's water story begins its earliest, highest, most ancient chapter. The open door of the Mountains of the Moon. As a national park, the Rwenzori Mountains open their doors to the general public, not merely as a destination, but as an invitation to step away from the ordinary world and enter one of the most extraordinary landscapes on the face of the earth. Its trails and valleys are accessible to all who come with the willingness to walk, to climb, and to be changed by what they find. There are 3 major trails to choose from: the Kilembe Trail, the Bukurungu Wilderness Trail, and the Central Circuit, the most popular by far. The Central Circuit is the classic Rwenzori experience, a 7-day, 6-night journey looping through the heart of the range, ascending through every vegetation zone the mountain offers, passing high-altitude lakes of extraordinary beauty, and crossing rivers that remind you, with every cold step, that you are deep inside one of Africa's great water towers. Beginning and ending at Nyakalengija, the journey unfolds as follows. Day 1. Into the living mountain Nyakalengija, 1,600 meters, to Nyabitaba Hut, 2,650 meters. At the edge of western Uganda, where cultivated land gives way to something older and less predictable, the journey begins at Nyakalengija. Here, the air is thick with heat and anticipation. Boots are tightened, packs are weighed, and final glances are exchanged, not just among climbers, but with the rhythm of everyday life being left behind. There is no dramatic entrance, no sudden reveal. The Rwenzori Mountains do not announce themselves loudly. Instead, they pull you in quietly. Within minutes, the trail disappears into dense tropical forest. The light dims. The air grows heavier. Moisture clings to skin and fabric alike. The ground softens underfoot, then gives way to mud. This is not a mountain that eases you in. It demands attention from the very first step. This documentary has been filmed and documented by Blasio Biekwaso, wildlife photographer, conservationist, and a man whose life's work has been devoted to revealing the wonder of God's creation across Uganda's natural world. Thanks for watching. God bless you.